So I haven't been out for a week now, more than a week, a little bit, and I'm kind of waiting. I'm waiting to like till the last moment to go out, because I know that it's kind of like a psychological trick. I know that if I go out too early, I will crave going out, and I will have much harder time than when I kind of accept the isolation as much as I can. And today I think it's been extended for 15 more days, which I don't really understand, because I don't think anyone expected it to last less than that. I think if we're looking at the 1 month, we're being very optimistic. And of course, nobody really knows. So I think that's what's the worst about that. That in that we don't know anything, that we can't plan, and we can't make like deadlines with ourselves. We can't make a timeline or milestones, or kind of feel. To ease the whole waiting thing. And I know that in some parts, like in UK, in some ways, life is still relatively normal. Like they don't have a full lockdown like we do, but that can change in coming weeks as well. So, but either way, I don't really, for some, the problem is, and it is a problem. It's not. In especially in times when we are completely not used to sitting down and doing nothing and being quiet, being still. We're used to being constantly entertained. We're used to constantly do things, and especially people who go out all the time, who are extroverts, and they. That's their lifestyle. It's hard to just be locked in, with all the boredom, with just the feeling of being. Well, it got really dark in here now. Hang on. Oh, that's better. I could have done that before. Is it better, or do I look like a fucking zombie now? Well, that just suits the mood of apocalypse. What was I saying? I was saying that it's very hard to be locked in for everyone. And, for some people this is nothing new. People who are sick, prisoners, many other cases, which for whom this is just everyday reality that they have to cope with. For most of us, like I always, I'm gonna see, like many of us, I'm just gonna see that from my super privileged point of view, where my biggest problem is I can't go out for my walk. I can't go out and do my things, do my daily 10 kilometers walk that keeps me sane. And that's another thing, that this really is something that keeps me relatively sane, exercise and being in movement, all that. So this is something that is important for me, just to be baseline okay, to be able to manage other, mental problems I might have, or just to cope with everyday life. And I know that. This is just like a tip of an iceberg of what kind of consequences this lockdown can have for many people. And that includes, short-term consequences and long-term, like the whole aftermath of this, like what kind of world we'll be getting out to. And because we don't know anything, and because this whole thing was completely... we weren't really prepared for that in any way, and we don't have many answers. which leads to, for me, for example, I started having this kind of apocalyptic thinking and thinking really not just about like, oh my god, how am I going to deal with the lockdown? Like, I'm locked in for several weeks. I don't really have a problem with that. I think that's, I just try to, well, I do have a problem, but it's manageable. I know what to do, how to occupy myself, how to set goals for myself, and how to keep, how to survive that. That's not a problem. I think once I accept my situation, it's much easier. But what is a problem is it's gonna be, for example, for people who are stuck in abusive relationships, stuck at home, for people for whom home isn't a safe place from the start. That's what worries me. I don't know how they manage with homeless people, for example. What does it mean to go home for them, to stay home? It's very easy for us to say, just stay home, everything, that's all you have to do. But for many, this isn't such an easy thing. There is no clear answer to what to do in this situation. And same, I don't even know what happens, what's going to happen with refugee camps or places like that where basic hygiene is not a given. So there's that, this immediate concerns, and then of course long term of people completely losing jobs, and how the whole I'm touching my face, how it will all be managed, economically speaking. Like, the system that was already kind of fucked up, we see that we now have a possibility to see how it's a very, whereas before some things might have been more hidden, now it all kind of comes closer, and the same with healthcare. So I must say that I feel kind of overwhelmed by the whole scale of thing, how much lives will change for many people. This is something that worries me a lot. And now, once I think I went through different, stages of the situation, and yes, I was saying about apocalyptic thinking as well, okay, I am worried not just for being locked in, but I'm worried of basically the whole world, turned upside down, and what does it mean for survival. And that's why going to UK was also kind of my instinctive response to where I feel more safe, where I feel like I have the most resources or backup, or kind of a support group for a real just baseline survival. We'll see. We'll see how my decision will play out in coming weeks, months. Well, it's a very strange. It's surreal to even talk like that. I'd rather talk about something else. But anyway, I started thinking about the things that I can do rather than these that I have no control over. So I went back to meditation, that I have abandoned for many months, although I needed it. I always abandon it when I need it the most, because of course the focus kind of drops, and we become less just kind of lazy emotionally and tired, so it's much harder to sit still, and then of course once you lose your rhythm, then it's much harder to get back. So of course, that was I have abandoned my practice for months, and now I'm back, and it's not easy, but it's something. And another thing that I started doing again is working out, which again is very little for, I just do a little bit, but it makes a huge difference actually between doing a little bit and doing nothing, especially now, because I think that, I'm afraid that if this current quarantine gonna last too long, we're just gonna be like rolling out of the houses rather than walking out. I'm actually afraid what it's gonna be like. Maybe we're gonna be like, animals that are trapped for so long that once you let them out, they're just all suspicious,